Okay.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the LinkedIn Lead Generation Masterclass. Today is week 12. We're going to look at delegating your LinkedIn lead generation. LinkedIn is the main focus, but a lot of the stuff I talk about will be relating to any other social media platform where you might be present. Apologies, that intro slide didn't seem to work my side, so I think my computer's on overdrive already. It's only Tuesday. Could do with a reset this morning. Great to have you with us, Stephanie. Welcome, Stephanie, and welcome, Ashley. I think I saw you earlier hopping on. Feel free to come back. It gets a bit lonely when I'm on my own here, so great to have you guys with us. And just waiting for a few others to filter into the Zoom call. So this goes live out to LinkedIn, also goes live out to YouTube as well, and acts as a bit of a resource for clients to later see and understand kind of what we do with their accounts on LinkedIn and how we support them. So yeah, just going to say welcome to all the others on there. Ashley, do you want to give us a quick intro, because it's the first time I've seen you on a LinkedIn Lead Generation Masterclass. So let everyone know who you are, what you're about, and why you're here. That'd be great.
Hi, Ashley from Inky Parchment, and we're local architects. Met Alex a couple of times before at some BNI things, and we lived around the corner at one point.
That's right.
Yeah, just here we're trying to expand our local sort of network of clients and things. So yeah, we're trying to push LinkedIn a little bit more, and then this popped up, so it seemed quite relevant.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ashley. Great stuff. Just going to let in a couple of others, just filtering all these latecomers. There they come. Morning to Andy as well. Andy's joining us from Seven Springs Studios, also a local chap. Morning, Andy. He's muted. You can say hi if you want. Paul is joining us on the live Zoom as well. Good morning to Paul as well. Right. So today's focus, we're going to be looking at how to delegate your lead generation. So it could be that you've built up an established system and you're now thinking, right, let's have a look at delegating that responsibility to someone else. Or it could be you're just curious to see, what an outsourced lead generation agency might do for you. So yeah, we're going to explore lots of different ideas today. Let me just bring up my slide. There we go. I can see what I'm doing now. And yeah, so a lot of this is around understanding your target audience, creating lead magnets that are going to kind of drive people towards you. Number 4, we'll look at kind of outsourcing that lead generation, considerations, things you need to be aware of. Number 5, the lead nurture and follow-up process. And then we'll have some time at the end from some open Q&A. Typically, these sessions go for about 45 minutes, so 9:45 we should be wrapped up, hopefully. So I'll do a bit of talking for the first 25 minutes, but feel free to put your hand up or just dive into ask any questions that you might have. We'll try to kind of look on LinkedIn as well, just see if there's any questions out there on the live audience side. But thanks for coming along today. So quickly, I'll do a quick introduction. So who am I? So my name's Alex Smith, and I am the founder of Leadeth. Leadeth is a LinkedIn, it's a powerful LinkedIn lead generation agency. We look to kind of support small business owners to achieve their sales goals through automating their lead generation in LinkedIn. So if your customers are B2B, then LinkedIn is a great platform to start being visible. I'd love to introduce you to this basic classic marketing funnel. And it basically describes a customer journey right from the first touch point to the purchase and beyond. And like it's funnel shaped, obviously we decrease in the number of potential customers at every stage of the journey. It's a bit like liquid flowing through, you're not going to get it all. So have a completely straight funnel would be fantastic, but it's not for everyone. So obviously awareness is the first stage. We're putting content out on LinkedIn that brings people to us. We're doing a bit of work on our LinkedIn profiles. That's going to attract more people to us. They move down to this interest stage, which is where we start to use lead magnets and things to kind of spark their interest. And then they move down to the consider stage, where they might be having a meeting with you to decide whether you're right for them or not, through to the purchase stage, where you delight them and then you retain them as loyal customers. And these days we've got a modern version of this. It's called the flywheel effect. So we're attracting clients, looking at engaging with them, delighting them, and then they become advocates for us. So they shout about what we're doing, and then the cycle starts again as they bring more people towards us. So a survey conducted by Time Doctor recently found that 37% of businesses actually outsource their lead generation activities. And being a small business owner, I thought that was quite a high statistic. There's also further stats by Deloitte that say 59% of companies actually outsource the lead gen to cut costs, and 57% outsource so they can focus on more of their core business functions. So if you're a small business owner like me, often you're it. You're doing everything. You're doing all the operations, you're doing the marketing, you're doing all the advertising, and it's a daunting task. So I guess that's why the stats are quite high, because when you start to leverage other people that are more skilled in that specific area, and they can help you and support you, then it makes sense. So you can then focus on what you do best. So so that's a bit of information. Where does this all sit in with Leadeth? So Leadeth, we provide a done-for-you service, and that's basically where we do everything start to finish. So we look at that target audience, we get information from clients, we look at your personal LinkedIn profile, and we can advise you on how to optimize that best so it speaks to the target audience, because if there's no alignment there, we're going to have issues. Then now we've kind of got that clarity there on that personal LinkedIn profile, we look at creating outreach campaigns. And these are automation campaigns that automatically build relationships in the background. So we're connecting with people, we're liking their profile, and it all happens on autopilot. We don't need any kind of human intervention at this stage. We're right at the top of the funnel here, reaching out to people, making them aware of us. The natural follow-on to that is email outreach, and that's where we can automate. You've just connected with someone on LinkedIn. Why not send them a courteous email follow-up to introduce yourself and your services? It's always about building relationships. Never make it too salesy. And I think the turning point for me in terms of not making it salesy was, for me, this is my LinkedIn lead generation masterclass. This is the moment where I come together weekly to bring people into my funnel, and it works effectively because I'm not having to worry about sales. I don't have to drive people into making a sales decision on these calls. It's purely added value. So when you have that approach on LinkedIn, people are all ears. They want to hear about it. You're there to help them. You're kind of in deficit to them, and then eventually, they'll have a sales call and they'll move further on up the sales funnel. Video content marketing, I'm going to rename that to just content marketing. But video is very powerful on LinkedIn. There's no doubt about it. Some of my popular posts have always been the ones where I've done video or lives. They get more engagement. So having a strategy around your content will really help you to get more noticed and set you apart as a thought leader in your particular space. The sixth element there on the roadmap is appointment setting. And that's purely just having systems in place that are going to automate your appointments, having a CRM to track your leads, having a nurture process, so you're automatically going to follow up with prospects. So that's all quite key stuff, which you need to be aware of. Certainly, if you're thinking about outsourcing, you need to be making sure that an agency has got this covered, got your back. They've got systems in place to report all this stuff to you. When it comes to understanding your target audience, it's essential and vital for effective lead generation. So whether you choose to do it in-house or whether you're going to outsource this to a consultant, it's good that you personally have some knowledge of who your audience is. So think about your audience, identify that ideal customer or the type of client, their demographics and their, where they're based, the geography. Think about how old they are, the gender, the location, typical income, the job titles that you would use. Think about their pain points, because that's quite key as well. Because if you've got a solution to address their pain points, they're going to want to hear from you. They're going to want to know about you. So when you start to understand that target audience, it's really going to help you to create a tailored campaign and a message that's going to resonate with them. So if I was getting an agency to do some lead gen work for me, I would certainly make sure I give them clear focus in terms of who that audience is that I'm going after. It could just be a simple, few paragraphs that go out to them, but knowing that will really help. Additionally, you could also consider the different channels. So obviously, some people prefer emails, some people prefer social media, some people prefer the classic phone call, or an in-person meeting might be a part of your process. So once you kind of identify the most effective way to kind of deal with that target market, that's going to help you to focus on the channels that are going to yield you the highest return on your investment. So in summary, understanding that target audience is a key element to an effective lead gen campaign. And it's important to communicate this clearly to your service provider. So any agency that you're looking to work with, obviously you want to make sure that they're asking these sorts of questions about audience. They're not just going blindly after anybody. It's got to be very specific, very niche. And that's got to align with your business goals. And hopefully you've got all this in place, ready to go after them. So a lot of companies I've seen, they've kind of sent a document, they've got it all mapped out, their audiences, their ideal clients. It's all written down, so they can just deliver that bit of content to whichever provider they're going to work with, whether it's email marketing or LinkedIn lead gen, whatever it is they're doing. On the Leadeth tool, which is the tool that we use, we can ask all these sorts of questions. So we look at the industries, clients can come in here and tick a few industries that are relevant to them. We call that process refining their criteria. I could just give you a quick demonstration of how that looks. Bear with me. It basically appears in here at the bottom. We've got refine criteria, and it will come up looking like this, where they can go through a list of several questions pertinent to what they're doing. I've actually created a new form now using Typeform. Typeform is a really cool little way of getting questions from clients, and saves so much time because it's all documented and gets pushed to whatever platform you want to push it to. So I've created a brand new questionnaire. So new clients that come on board will now complete this type form, and it asks all the relevant questions about that audience. I'll just get this going. Come on. Here we go. So it starts, we've got some initial welcome questions, talking about the business, and then we look at the industries. We then go into company size, seniority levels, functions within those different categories that we want to target. We look at different job titles. So it's vital to understand, who is your decision maker, who's going to be making the shots. So we look at job titles, and a lot of this maps out the traditional sales navigator filters. This one's pretty cool. So this one's basically a country selection filter. Think about time zones. When can you work with other countries, and that's quite helpful. And then we look into brand. So talk to us about your brand story. There's some further training about kind of story brand and establishing this brand story behind your company, kind of the whys, why you do what you do. And that's powerful stuff. So we try and tease out these questions, anything relevant about your company, ideal customer, what does the ideal client look like? What sort of tone do we want to have in the copy? So this is helping us now. So if you've got an agency who's going to be replying on your behalf, what sort of tone would you like to come across as? Professional, or a bit of humor in there, funny in all your messages out to them? Keep it quite casual. Who are your current top customers and clients? What do you specialize in? And then we've got things about what's your unique value proposition, and who would you consider your top 4 or 5 competitors to be? And we drive down into questions right the way down to how typically would you respond to a message from a potential client who's gone quiet after expressing an initial interest in your services. And if you can give us some ideas in terms of what that reply might look like, that helps us to kind of train up the auto responders and everything in a in a really cool way. So that's a little bit about kind of what I've been up to recently. Let's kind of move on to lead magnets quickly. Quarter past. So a lead magnet is all about creating this free offer or incentive that's designed to attract and capture the contact information of potential customers, and then hopefully they'll be paying customers for life. So in essence, a lead magnet is a valuable piece of information that we exchange for that contact information. And when we try to request that the information, it's always the basics. Just the name and the email address is all we need. Once we've got that, we can then build on the rest down the line. I mean, we're not going to be making phone calls with everyone at this stage. That might be later down in the pipeline. We don't want to ask them too many questions about their position, how aware they are of your services, or where they're at in their buying decision journey. So keep it super simple. So any forms that you've got that are trying to attract and get that information, make sure they're simple. Webinars work really well, or video series. So these online events offer really good value, and they'll help your participants over the period of several days or something like that to really understand what it is you do. Checklists or templates are really cool as well. I've seen a lot of people go into Google, look up their target market. So whether it's whatever that target market might be, Google what are the top 10 pain points of this industry or whatever, and then basically create this checklist document that you can send to people for free. That's just going to help them out to think about those pain points and address those issues, because ultimately that's kind of the value there. Offering free trials is great. Tasters, demos, that's going to really help kind of ramp on a lot more interest in your services as well. So the key to create this effective offer, or this lead magnet, is going to be to add value. Every bit of conversation we have with prospects is going to be about value add. So obviously some agencies will come up with some ideas for you, but ideally you need to have this asset sat there within your business ready to use. And it could be some really good case studies that are very industry specific. They work really well, really effectively as well. And that would these things just help you to nurture the relationship and be a bit of a sign pointing exercise for new prospects coming in, because you can say, right, well, I've just worked with someone who's exactly like you, had exactly the same pain points, and this is the results that they got from this. So that works really powerfully. So when it comes to generating leads for your business, obviously outsourcing can be a really effective way to free up your time, free up your resources, allowing you to then focus on the important aspects of your lead generation efforts and in terms of the other things that you're doing within your business. But there are several pros and cons. So in this next section, we're going to just look at the difference for outsourcing lead generation, such as hiring maybe a virtual assistant, taking on someone to start looking at lead gen, taking on a full-on agency who have experience in this place and can do a lot of the legwork for you. What are the disadvantages? What are the advantages of each? And these might be some of the questions that you've got if you've not yet worked with an agency. So it's important you make an informed decision, and certainly if outsourcing is new to you, obviously that's a substantial budget. Think of it as you're employing someone almost to do that specific task within your business. So it's important to get it right. So let's dive into and explore some of the options here. So pros and cons of hiring a virtual assistant. So one of the main challenges are that it's cost effective. Virtual assistants are often a lot more affordable than hiring an in-house assistant. And you don't need to kind of provide them with an office. You don't need to provide them with space, equipment, a benefits package. So often a virtual assistant is the first place to go to get someone just to come in. It could be just to respond to those messages on your behalf. Flexibility. So virtual assistants will also give you that flexibility. So they can often work on an hourly basis. So you haven't got to commit to a full-time 8-hour week salary or contract or whatever it is. You can just have them when you need them, which is the beauty of it. They often work outside of regular hours. So you'll often have, working mums who are just fantastic at, doing what they do in the evenings when they've got a bit of time. They can be a really powerful asset. We've also got specialized skills. So you can actually hire a virtual assistant with a specific skill. So it could be they've got a lead gen skill set and some experience in lead gen. And that's obviously going to save you time and money because you haven't got to train them up. So if you find a VA who's experienced in a certain platform or a certain system, that's going to be really good. Some of the cons of hiring virtual assistants, obviously communication challenges. So when you're working with a virtual assistant in maybe the Philippines or somewhere else like that, obviously that's going to be difficult. You've got different time zones going on and language barriers potentially. So you'll start to have a bit of lack of control. As a virtual assistant works remotely, it's going to be much harder to manage their workload and to make sure they're meeting your expectations. That whole process can be a little bit difficult if you don't manage it. Dependence. So obviously, if your VA leaves, you could be left suddenly with gaps in your lead gen process. So it might take you, several weeks to find a replacement, train them up. So that could be a bit of a pitfall with a VA as well, because they're not tied into any contracts, are they? So the next day they could be gone. Freelance lead generation specialists. So this is bit of a hybrid approach. So basically, these are professionals who are specialized in finding potential customers for your business. They work on a project basis. So it could be for a set time. They could be a 3-month or a 6-month contract, usually for a set fee. And they use a variety of tactics to kind of identify and reach out to potential leads for you. So the role of a freelance lead generation specialist typically will include researching. So they would do the research on the potential customers. They would build and maintain those lead lists for you, develop the outreach campaigns for you, and then they'll start to kind of follow up with potential leads to generate that interest and then convert them into customers. So they use a variety of different techniques, including email marketing, some of the stuff that we look at Leadeth, social media outreach. They'll also do cold calling often for you, and just different methods to reach potential customers. But obviously they're the specialists, so they know what works well for your audience. One of the advantages of working with a freelance lead generation specialist is that they can provide a much more targeted approach, and they'll also be able to fit the specific needs of businesses or the organizations that they work with. One disadvantage with working with a freelance lead generation specialist is going to be that they might not have a deep understanding of your specific business or the industry that they're working in. So bear that in mind. Additionally, their availability and their commitment will fluctuate based on their workload and their other commitments, because you might not be the sole project. They might have 6 or 7 other projects they're working on. So it's worth kind of bearing that in mind. And then finally, we've got using a lead generation agency. The pros of using a lead generation agency, obviously, they specialize in generating the leads. They've got a team of experts who are all trained in the latest lead gen strategies and techniques. Scalability, much easier to then scale your lead generation efforts depending on your needs, and that will allow you to kind of bring in how many leads you need and scale it back. It's pretty cost effective, because if you compare hiring an agency against a full-time in-house marketing director or marketing lead gen person to head up your lead gen, that's going to be a much more cost effective. Results driven, so a reputable lead generation company are going to be focused on delivering you results for your business, and then there's accountability for the success of those campaigns. Some of the problems and pitfalls with a lead gen agency, obviously, the control. You're going to probably have a bit less control over the lead generation process. You might find there's a lack of familiarity with your business, so the agencies often might not be familiar with your industry if they've not worked with anyone in that industry before, so that could be a bit of a negative factor. So there's potential for misalignment. So if the goals aren't kind of in alignment, this whole misalignment is going to cause communication issues potentially, and there'll be gaps. You'll have a less effective campaign. And also you've got the contractual obligations. So working with an agency might require a 12-month investment. It could be a long-term strategy, which could also act as a con. So a few pros and cons for the different options there. But once we've kind of established who we're going to be working with, it's important to make sure they're doing all the lead nurturing and follow-up. And the next process is kind of to move these prospects through your funnel, through your sales funnel. So we need to have a clear understanding of what that sales journey looks like, what that pipeline looks like. And that's often where a lot of businesses fall short. They generate the leads, but then fail to actually engage with those leads in a way that's going to turn them into paying customers. So when you think about kind of lead nurturing, it's just the process of kind of building relationships, continuing to kind of build those out over time, providing them with valuable information, resources that's going to help them to address their pain points. And it's going to position your business as a trusted authority in your specific industry. So an effective lead nurturing is going to provide a deeper understanding of the target audience. And also, we need this ability to create content that's really going to speak to their needs and interests. So it's important that we get people on board who have enough full understanding of this. The follow-up is also crucial in the lead generation process. Research has shown us that 80% of sales require 5 or more follow-up interactions. So you think, wow, that's quite a lot. If I haven't done 5 interactions with a potential prospect, it's wasted. They'll just give up normally after 1 or 2 attempts. So following up with your leads in a timely and consistent manner will help you to stay on top. So that's why it's so important to have a system in place that's going to catch all these potential leads. So here are some key takeaways that's going to help you with this whole lead nurture and follow-up process. If you're going to be doing it in-house, think about creating this clear plan that's going to outline the type of content that you're going to create, the channels you're going to use to distribute that content, and the frequency of your communications with those potential clients. Use marketing automation tools. I'm a big fan of kind of automating as much as I can. So ensure that your communications are timely and relevant to that audience. If you've got other people in the system, obviously make sure they're fully aware of this as well. That kind of adds another dimension if you're employing people. Personalizing your follow-up communications is vital. That's going to help people to kind of really supercharge that process. And often if you start to identify the specific needs and interests of your leads, they'll kind of come back to you in a bit more detail. And it's okay if you don't have every single answer, because often people will be expecting you to come with the answer. But if you kind of approach them a bit more and try to tease out their why and questions around their question, that can help as well, and it shows a bit more understanding. The omni-channel approach is purely looking at the different channels, so email, a phone call, LinkedIn message. When you have this omni-channel approach, you're going to capture more people, because some people, LinkedIn is not just their only platform where you can reach out to them, so you're going to miss a lot of people. Whereas if you include email in that approach, that's really going to help out. Monitoring your lead engagement. Obviously, everything we do, we must test, measure, and then adjust it and refine it. So these are some sort of quick key takeaways to effectively, nurture those leads and maximize the chances of converting them into paying customers. So we're about almost 9:30. Any big takeaways from that chunk of training? Anyone want to kick us off? Is anyone already kind of, I know Andy's a client of mine. Anyone else got any thoughts around that today? Super quiet. So in terms of what we're doing at Leadeth, I can just drive into the platform. We'll set up a campaign for clients, which might look something like this. Obviously, we've gone through the audience stage. We've brought the audience into a specific campaign. And when we talk about campaigns, we're just talking about a funnel system that's doing a lot of automated work for us. So the leads dropped into the top of this particular funnel. We perform an action. So it could be a profile page like. We could like their last 3 posts to be, even more visible. We could also, follow their profile or endorse, top 5 skills, all on autopilot. That's going to put us out there, as viewing other people's profiles. We're going to be seen more. It helps that whole awareness thing, people getting to see us. We then automate the connection request. So for me, I've got, hi, first name as a fellow, and then it puts in their occupation, because this is going out to sales directors mainly, this campaign. So it would say as a fellow sales director or sales development consultant, thought you might be interested in my lead generation masterclass. It's a free Tuesday morning session where I share proven strategies to boost whatever it is, their company name will get dropped in there as well to boost their pipeline with LinkedIn. So that's my intro to connect with people. And then on the back of that, if we're connected with them, we have follow-up messages that are automated. Again, just a quick follow-up message, just to lead them into this lead gen masterclass. And then I also ask them if they're using video outreach yet in their outreach. If people send a message back, the sequence will stop automatically. In terms of delegating this process, obviously the campaign creation is one thing, but the ongoing maintenance of the campaign is about how we respond to prospects and deal with those leads when they come in and mark them and track them. So I've actually got an inbox, so you can actually delegate your inbox to a third party, which is pretty cool. You can then click on a potential prospect. They can then, see your conversation history and reply with a preset response. So I've got some preset replies that I've created. One's for a masterclass booking, one's for not interested. So if they can clearly see, what that question's about, they can just click the automatic reply and hit send, and that will go off to them. Or they can put a delay on the response message. So this system brings in LinkedIn messages and also brings in emails as well, all into one place. So that's the Leadeth tool that I'm using effectively. And going back to the KPIs, what we do with clients is we encourage them to keep an eye on their stats. And how do you know how effective an agency is with your stats? So we actually start to track LinkedIn SSI scores. We track the number of impressions. If they're putting content out for you, this is quite important. The number of connections, we need to be seeing the number of connections growing each week and each month. We also want to be seeing how many connection requests are going out on a daily basis or weekly basis or a monthly basis, if you do it monthly like me. And we basically analyze how many LinkedIn messages are going out, how many profiles are being viewed, so we can keep full account of all the stats. So if a client comes to me and says, hang on, I'm not sure if this LinkedIn lead generation stuff's working, we can straight away come back to the stats, pull these reports and say, this is what we're doing, it's generated this, which is fantastic. And then it often it's down to the offer, or a lack of a lead magnet often is the reason why it might not be working for clients, or there's a misalignment with that audience that we looked at. So yeah, that's just a little bit of information in terms of what I'm doing over at Leadeth. It'd be great to get a bit more engagement from the crowd. Any questions from anyone on the call? Nothing. All very quiet.
You got a quiet bunch this morning, Alex.
Oh, morning, Peter. Good to see you. Welcome.
How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good.
You could do a quick intro, Peter, if you want. We've got time.
1 second, my printer's making some noise. Hold on.
Also, we've got Jeremy on the call. Welcome, Jeremy and Tony. If you want to hop on the live Zoom, feel free. Now's your opportunity. Whilst you guys are doing that, I'm just going to hop over to LinkedIn just to see if we've got any questions on the live broadcast.
I was going to say, Alex, I won't introduce myself because this is all about you, not me. But
no, but I just love to. It's a great platform for you as well, Peter. It's a bit of networking, yeah. So feel free to
picking up on something you said about the follow up, and so it's normally 5 to 7 times people need follow up before they'll buy. It's amazing when you get salespeople within an organization, they'll ring the person once or twice, and that's it. That's where they'll stop. And they think, they just run out of energy on doing it. But persistence is what will win.
Pays off. That's right. Yeah. It's definitely seems to be the case. And the power is when you can start to automate those nudges. So if you've got a sequence, that's automatically pushing out those emails every 3 months, or those LinkedIn messages every 3 months, and it's doing it all for you. It's bound to have some fruit
and make them personal.
Yes, yeah, personalisation is key.
I think the other big mistake that people make is they always push marketing out, saying what a wonderful business we are and what we've done, and how we've got a new canteen and everything else. They just push themselves. It falls on deaf ears. What you need to do is pitch your marketing to say, this is what we've done for someone else. This is what they've achieved as a result of what we've done for them. because the prospective client will look at it and go, well, actually, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. You've got to make it relatable.
Yeah, it need and it's I love to it's adding value where possible. Every opportunity, add value in every message, in everything you send. Add value. Someone the other side sent me a message back saying, "Oh, I don't like your sales sequence," or they realised it was obviously a sequence, and they said, "Oh, can you pop a joke or two in there, because I think that will lighten it up a bit." So I now try to throw in a little, either a knock joke or a joke that's going to resonate with their industry, and you can actually get ChatGPT to write some crackers for you, and it just lightens the awkward salesy kind of process. But certainly when you're not, when you've got that lead magnet in place and you're just trying to drive people to the lead magnet, it takes away that sales pressure completely, because you're not, it's just a great strategy to have if you can do that.
It's all about catching these clients at the right time.
Yeah.
So we're not interested for donkeys, and then all of a sudden it comes to top of their plate. You want to make sure that you're the person they think of.
That's right. And in terms of kind of working with agencies, Peter, do you do it all in-house yourself? Have you got full control of that whole process, or have you tried working with email marketing specialists and other people?
I've been involved in a number of different businesses, you're aware, Alex, and we've had a combination of everything. But we're able to write our own system, so that's not difficult.
Yeah. In terms of what kind of lead magnets are currently working well for you at the moment?
Actually, we get most of our business right now just word of mouth.
Yeah, so it's all referrals.
People just keep coming back, and that's another big thing actually on referrals, is ask for them.
Yeah,
you do a piece of work for someone, you say, do you know anyone else who might be interested in what we do? Because they will generally know their peers in the industry, and if you don't ask, you will not get that recommendation. And then when you go to the next person, you can say, oh, Bob recommended me. He said I need to speak to you. You've opened the door. You've gone straight past the receptionist and everyone else, the PA, to speak to the person you need to speak to.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks, Peter. Really good inputs.
I'll leave it back to you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you. So just to kind of finish off then. So next week, next Tuesday, we're going to go live again. We're going to be looking at how to kind of supercharge your LinkedIn profile and network. It's all about kind of raising your game on LinkedIn and focusing on a specific niche. So that's niching down. So that's going to be a great session coming up next week. If anyone's never had a one-to-one strategy call with me, now's the opportunity. Head over to leadeth.io/strategy. I'll pop a link in the chat. The purpose of the one-to-one strategy calls are purely just so I can get to know you in a little bit more detail, understand your business, understand what you're about, what you're up to, and just maybe throw some suggestions out there in terms of how I might be able to work with you in the future and, add value to what you're doing. So https://www.leadeth.io/strategy. So there it is. That will take you to my calendar where you can book a 1 hour one-to-one call with myself, and really appreciate to spend the time with you. But thank you to the guys that have tuned in on the Zoom. Thank you for everyone that's listened out to us on the live stream as well. Hope to see you all next week.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex. Cheers.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.